In this mini documentary, we're going to get into the mind of Salvador Ramos. Why would we do that? This country's very sick. If you were to look at America and you were to take a magnifying glass, this situation of this 18-year-old boy in the school shooting, killing 19 children and 2 teachers, it is the catalyst that will wake up America, but it is also the infection. It is the virus that is eating us away. So the killer shoots his grandmother in the face at about 11 o'clock, okay? Shoots his grandmother in the face, gets in a vehicle, drives erratically until he hits into a ditch outside of the school, about 500 yards outside of the school. He gets out of the vehicle. He approaches 2 funeral home workers. They're trying to help him. He shoots at them. They get out of the way. They report to the police what's going on. He runs all the way, the shooter runs all the way to the school. He tries to get into this school. 2 police officers sort of run across him, okay, as he's trying to get into school. He ends up shooting his way into the school somehow with a gun, okay? He ends up getting in. And he barricades himself in with children for about an hour. Police arrive. Well, we're going to get into that. Now, this is just horrible. Any parent, it's just a horrible situation. This guy was known to the FBI. Video game developers were reported numerous times about this man shooting up a school. Okay? Now, here's the kicker. We're going to look at this article. Salvador Ramos arrested 4 years ago for planning attack at 18, says a Texas representative. Okay? The representative's claim has not been confirmed by any official source. Authorities have previously said Ramos had no criminal record and no documented history of mental illness. The Republican congressman said the claim was not hearsay, but information that he was given last night. So, there's a lot of different stuff going on, trying to figure out what is happening in the world. What's going on in this situation? How could this have happened, this tragedy? Finds out to be the deputies, the officers, arrested 2 juveniles that were threatening to shoot up the school 2 years before this guy turned 18 and got the rifle and did it. And then the protocols, nothing in place. So, I'm probably the closest mind that you'll get to somebody like that, Salvador Ramos, before a psychologist or an FBI agent. Why? Because of my life, how I was brought up. So, I'm going to show you a clip of Charles Manson. I'm going to show you a couple different parts of Charles Manson. People would look at it and be like, what is going on in that guy's mind? And then I'm going to show you parts of his humanity that glimmer through that erratic mind of his. And then I'll explain to you how I know that.
Supposed to do.
Keep her mouth shut and do
The light, you don't see the light, you just see the negative. So I'm a tones were implications there.
Well, you use the word maniacs on the outside. How are you different from the maniacs on the outside? And why do you call them maniacs? Because you know something, they think you are one.
Yeah, it would reflect. If you hold the negative up to the light, you don't see the light, you just see the negative. So I'm a reflection of your negative, there's no doubt about that, and I can handle that also. I've been handling, ain't I?
So what does that mean? So what's going on in the mind of somebody who has been abused and neglected as a child? Okay, and psychologists will all admit that trauma is what makes a serial killer. No empathy, no human connection. So, and you can look at the video where I say God saved me from suicide and death. When I was 12 years old, 11 years old, probably about 10, 11 years old, I was trying to commit suicide. I wanted to commit suicide. Why? The darkness. I can't begin to tell you when you have a broken family, when you have a child who believes that everything is okay and he's living the best childhood, or she living the best childhood, and then you decide to destroy that child's personality is forever splintered. Why do you think the communist Marxists want that? Because it destroys the mind. It's the first thing. Now, morals and values tank. You already have two parents who may not be on the same page. Okay? And you have to deal with that as a child. One saying one thing, the other saying that. I remember being as a kid, and I know all the children have divorces. Remember all this. You have to decide when mommy and daddy say one thing and they say don't tell the parent the other thing, or hey, we're going to play both sides. You're stuck in between. You hear the bickering on one side and you hear the lies on the other. So when he's saying, I am a reflection of you, he's saying all the crazies are out there. Listen, as a Christian, the world looks crazy right now. The world looks very crazy right now. So he's, in his mind, he seems like a natural-minded person. He's saying the other people crazy, they're out there. They're nuts. Because he's the negative film image. He's just the opposite of good. He is trying to what these, and he's an environmentalist, this man, Charles Manson, this serial killer. He was balancing nature by killing off what he believed was, well, it is Hollywood filth, okay? I mean, it's just not good stuff. They sell sex and stuff, okay? So he thought, if I take that out with murder, I'm doing a good thing for society. Now, I'm going to play another clip, and it's going to show you the fractured mindset of, well, it's just a fractured mind. He's going to show you.
I don't know, have you?
Well, I bet it doesn't mean you're guilty of something.
What does mean you're guilty?
When you know you're guilty.
What about Shay?
What about him?
Well, what about him?
He got killed.
Well, the word is you killed him.
Word is that you're an old woman. Word is you have turkey in the sky. Word is, I don't know what word is. Somebody else tell you that. I didn't tell you that.
Did you kill Shay?
Hell no.
Did you cut Hinman's ear off?
Hell yes.
How did that feel when you cut his ear off?
What did it feel like?
Yeah.
Well, I had done what he said for about 20 years. I'd done everything he told me to do. And I got to thinking, now, why don't this guy do something I tell him to do? And he said, no. I said, well, how comes I'm always doing what you tell me to do, but then you never do what I say do? And he said, well, blah, blah, blah. So I said, now you do what I say. And he said, no. I said, you do exactly what I say. And he said, no. I'm telling you. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. You do exactly what I say.
Now, what's going on in this man's mind? Well, I'll tell you. When you start getting into darkness and you start getting into what this Salvador Ramos guy got into, which was pornography, he was getting into the occult. These things were happening when he wasn't being watched. Nobody was watching him. This was during COVID lockdowns. You can, and that was bad enough. So he's not being watched. He's getting into pornography. He's getting into the occult. He's getting into dark things. We're going to get into this. when you start doing those things and you start getting into it, when God says that he sears the conscience, he means it. Your conscience is seared. You have no empathy. It's gone. So serial killers at a young age, when they're when they're destroyed and they're traumatized and their minds are fractured, okay? Their soul is gone and their conscience becomes seared. And when I mean their soul is gone, it's in darkness. It is gone. So he knows the gig is up. He knows that his story is there. He knows that what he's caught. Okay, so he's having an internal struggle. When you're looking in this man's mind, he's having an internal struggle of, how do I keep my act, who I am? How do I keep that going? And how do I not stop from totally just committing suicide, just getting rid of everything, just being done? Because that's what these people do. When they go out and they commit these heinous acts, is because they want death. Death, suicide by cop. They want the suicide. So we're gonna go to another clip, and you're going to see where his humanity peeks through just a little bit. And you can see it in the eyes with the crying. And especially with the eyes, and you can pay attention right here, okay? He wants to break down and cry when he realizes that his firstborn son, he's not going to know him, and that life is tough, okay? He's going back to childhood, and he's breaking down in front of everybody.
And that's about the extent of it. All was rough.
Supposed to do?
Sure.
Women?
Certainly. Like this news media on me. Cult leader. I never had long hair before I got busted. I never had a beard before I got busted. I went to shave, and the guy said, no, you can't shave. And I said, I need a razor to shave. He said, no, you can't shave. I said, let me get a haircut. He said, no, we don't want you to change your appearance. They said I had a great family, and I was the following and leaders and all that. There was no followers and leaders, a bunch of kids out the ranch playing. To me.
Playing at what?
Playing and living.
Do you miss women?
Certainly. My goodness. Yeah, damn right. Yeah.
What do you think of women?
Oh, I like them. Yeah, they're nice. They're put together well and everything, and they're soft and spongy. Yeah, they're nice.
So if you go back, he's breaking down because of selfishness, because they're starting to deprive him of his freedom. And when they talk about women, instinctively men, okay, and he starts crying, he starts breaking down a little bit because the freedoms are gone, because of natural things like that being taken away. That's hell.
As long as they keep their mouth shut and do what they're supposed to do,
Why do you say that?
because that's what a woman's supposed to do.
Keep her mouth shut and do what she's supposed to do?
Sure.
And besides the son that you had in your marriage, you've got, what, 4 other children somewhere?
I don't think I've been responsible for as much as you people want to lay on me.
All right, somewhere out there, there's at least one son that we know of that's your child, who's probably about 25 or 26 years old. You talk to that kid. What are you going to say to him?
You got to catch it on your own, boy. Train's hard. The road's rough.
And that's it.
That's all I knew. That's all anyone ever told me.
All right.
I'm going to go back to that. He says he's trying to project. He doesn't want any, he's just out. He has no self-awareness. And when he finally gets brought back to reality, and he's confronted about his child, you can see him break down. He literally tells you, he's telling you, the road is rough. That's all I know. I don't know about Marilyn Manson. I don't know his background, but I know that people go through pretty hard stuff, okay? And what these guys do, it's disgusting, and it's vile, and it's horrible. But when you come from the sewer and all you believe is that you are from the sewer, when you make it up to the top and you see that other people have been living okay, you snap. You snap. That's why the glorious gospel of Christ is there. Because he takes the people from the sewer and he washes them off and he puts them in kingdoms. Okay, so, I just thank Christ, I used to, I think I'm a tough guy, but when it comes to Christ, I'm always crying when it comes to him. So here we go. Moms, dads, you have to watch over your children. You have to. You can't let the TV raise them. Proverbs 29:15, the rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. Everybody's out there saying, spare the rod, spoil the child. Oh, they do that. Everybody knows that saying, and they do it. And believe me, people do it. But just that little bit of lie can destroy families, can destroy children. It is tough raising kids. I don't know how my wife does it. It is tough. But you know what? I thank Jesus that we sacrificed and we watched them. Because they're amazing kids. Nowadays, you watch, everybody knows the kids, they're uncontrollable. You cannot, this generation's gone. A generation below me is gone. And I don't mean to say that in it is. These kids the kids are just, but if they get disciplined and they get the Lord Jesus Christ and you don't spare the rod, and you start, and with Arnold Schwarzenegger, lack discipline. They lack discipline. Okay, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger's a bad guy, but it's true. Don't let the truth be perverted by these people. So that's what was going on with this guy. That was going on with this Salvador Ramos. He was going out. He was just all by himself. COVID lockdown, and you know what? What turned an autistic kid into a serial killer? Well, people can be writing about that for future, for years to come. So, Jesus Christ is the truth. Jesus Christ holds all things together. If Jesus Christ holds all things together and he's the truth, what do lies do? That's why you're seeing a destruction of society. We're going to read this account of this young girl that survived the shooting, that saw everything that transpired. The worst thing that you can do to a child is to make them feel like they're lost. I'll just say that. That's the worst thing you can do to a child, is to make them feel lost. They have no bearing. They have no established foundation. You take that away, family. But when you get down to it detail-wise, the emotion being lost. So, let's read this article, okay? Texas school shooter tells the teacher goodnight, okay? So this kid tells the teacher goodnight right before he guns her down, all right? After the initial flurries of shots, Ramos headed into the adjoining classroom with Cirillo hearing screams as more of her friends were being slaughtered. So for 40 minutes, this man is in there popping off kids. Okay? Let me see here. She had to cover herself in blood to try to hide herself. I'm not even going to get into it. It's just, the girl had to end up covering herself in blood to try to hide herself. She is so traumatized, she can't go to sleep. Chunks of her hair are falling out. I couldn't imagine. Now, you have one of the teachers, she was throwing herself in front of the children to save them. The husband of that woman that died, he has a heart attack from his and they leave behind 4 children. That's enough, because I'm gonna cry. We're bringing hell on earth. Parents are bringing hell on earth. Wake up. I remember, and this is the thing, it seems like it's all a natural thing to do these things, to get your kids in highly competitive sports and to drive them into the abyss of sports. It's and that's I understand that. Porn is so accessible. These kids, psychiatrists have done studies that it takes away natural tendencies and wants, and it fills you with synthetic chemicals to give you the feeling that God gave you to actually have with your wife, that you can enjoy for the rest of your life. And believe me, men, we enjoy it. We know that. You can ask us. So, why are they doing this? Why is Satan doing all this? Why is he filling children with synthetic entertainment when you could be going out and enjoying nature? All of these things. Why? Well, there's a lot smarter people talking about this stuff, and they're breaking it down greatly. And so we're going to get into right here, the astral world. Okay, remember this festival that came out? All these people were there to see these artists, okay, these two artists, and they got trampled on while flames were going and one eyeballs were all over, and these guys were talking about death, rapping about death. See you on the other side, okay? Let's go through the symbology real quick. So, well, you know what? The vigilant citizen. These guys do an awesome job. He does an awesome job. Vigilant citizen. That's where I pulled this from. I like him. So just go through here. Now let's watch this clip.
That's okay with you real quick. Please me this door.
So in this concert, it was so, there we go. It was so dark. Nobody could see anything. Okay. These kids were trying to tell them to stop the concert because people were trampling all over each other. People were saying literally the ports of hell were opened up and you could hear screaming, hollering, death. They said that the darkness was so thick, they thought they were choking. So this is the stuff that the teenager that did the shootings at the school, this is the stuff he was involved in, the occult. All the stuff that's out there. I have many of documentaries on it, okay? This stuff's people have been breaking this apart. They've been showing you guys. I say the crazy Christians of the 80s are the prophets of today. Pay attention. Numbers 14:18. The Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, and by no means clearing the guilty. By no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. God is an amazing God. Jesus Christ is amazing. He gives wisdom to anybody who asks it, good or bad. He gives money. He gives riches to people, good or bad, if they ask for it, and they use it in the right way. Now they're abusing. Now let me say this: it's like the laws of thermodynamics. God has certain things. If you're good with charity, you get money. Okay, and that's why these people, Warren Buffett, they not Warren Buffett, but Rockefeller and whatnot. They go out there, they sip some, they lick some ice cream, and then they're enslaving people. And everybody thinks it's great as long as they get $1,000 here and there, or they get a full ride scholarship. So that's how this works. And God has put that in us because it's in the Bible. It's bred into us. Every law, everything that God has put together in this universe, it is written in the hearts. That's why everybody knows this is unnatural, what's going on. That's why everybody is ringing the bell going, Revelation, Revelation, we're on hell's doorstep. So in this verse, when God is saying that he's going to visit the iniquity on the children, the third, fourth, and fifth generation, it's because the fathers that are guilty, God knows that. And God knows that sin and that vile, disgusting behavior. And in this instance, Salvador Ramos being neglected, falling into porn, falling into the occult, the parents not giving a crap about their child, feeling hopelessness. Well, the sin is going to go to the third, fourth, fifth generation. I'm the fourth. I am the fourth. And I'm telling you what, the sins of my father hit me hard. And I cried to Jesus Christ with all of my might. And I'm so thankful that he saved me. And he can do the same thing with you. Everybody. So watch your children. Reprove them. Spank them. Rip the games away from them. Now, talking about the third, fourth, fifth generation, in America, we're living in the most selfish, the generations that have built up the wealth. You could see the degradation of society. It is a cycle. We're going through a degradation of society right now. In this next clip, I'm going to show you the police officers that instead of charging in and stopping this man, from killing more children, who knows how many they could have saved, the police stopped the parents from going in to the elementary school. This is called slothfulness. This is called selfishness. This is called narcissism. This is beyond all that. These people, a man, and you couldn't stop me from getting in that school and saving my kid. Oh, and by the way, the police officers went and saved their own children, and then they stopped others from saving theirs. Numbers 14:18 is wrapped up in that, in this clip.
What job you getting?
Y'all be back. Stay back.
In fact, they arrest one of the parents. They arrested one of them. It's very easy to have a country fail. It didn't take too long, did it? That's why it's so important to be on the narrow path. People go, oh, you're scribes and Pharisees for wanting to... You're scribes and Pharisees. Don't... People, it's very easy to follow Christ. Look what's going on in the world, okay? I don't want to preach too hard at people. Okay? When the people decide to turn back to Christ and strong people take leadership, we're going to read Romans 13:3. Okay? This is what happens. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. Here we go now. For he is the minister of God. Who is that? A government worker. The police? For he is the minister of God to thee for good. That's gone, guys. You saw that clip. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid. For he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God. These guys, they bear the sword. It was all in vain. You saw it was all in vain. They are not ministers of God. Those were cowards. A revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Government employee. That's what I was trying to say in the beginning of the documentary. Men in the household should be strong. They should be the rough men at night that watch over the children with violence against those who try to hurt them. And they should take control of society again. Don't let, people are just letting things get destroyed for nothing. Why? Because of weakness? What the heck, dude? Okay. If police officers were doing the right thing, if the justice system was doing the right thing, and they were being ministers of God, in Psalms 58:10, the righteous shall rejoice when he seeth the vengeance. He shall wash his feet in the blood of the wicked. What am I talking about? Do you think that the parents, after their children were slaughtered, do you think that they would want The Salvador Ramos? Do you think that they would want to wash their feet in his blood? Do you think that they would? I mean, he's a wicked individual to be doing something like that. Okay, horrible. The Bible, it tells the truth. It uses very hardcore and violent language sometimes, but that's the only thing that gets through people. I'm going to get through this faster, okay? Because parents, people that are listening to this, what we have here is the soul being destroyed. The government, I'm not saying all government is bad. I'm not saying that. The government has been caught doing horrible things, and they create companies and they create different things, and they give special tax privileges and sovereignty to Disney. The CIA did things like that because there's dark elements that work for Satan, the devil, through the Antichrist spirit, pulling strings and levers in these positions of power to brainwash the population for brute force consensus so that they could run the world. So here, this is true stuff. These are sources from reliable things like BuzzFeed that everybody watches.
The covert operation, dubbed Operation Overcast, then renamed Operation Paperclip, involved having 1,600 German scientists and their families brought to the US during the Cold War to work on America's behalf. The objective was to use German intelligence to develop America's arsenal of biological and chemical weapons, ensuring that they didn't fall in the hands of the Soviet Union. It was a two-part process. First, you had to blast away the existing mind. Second, you had to find a way to insert a new mind into that resulting void. And what did Dr. Sidney Gottlieb believe was the best way to blast away the existing mind? A newly created drug called LSD.
So with a lot of these shooters and a lot of these people that commit these acts, the government has, like I said, these dark elements in the government. They call them they call them honeycombs or honeypots, I believe, where they will. And I believed Alex Jones was this for the longest time, and I did. I think he was, but I don't know anymore. It doesn't matter. The guy is he's talking about Christ, but what they'll do is they'll prop up an idol, or they'll prop up an individual. In this case, well, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could name it, like Alex Jones, for instance. And then what they'll do is they'll make this person famous. And Alex Jones, I don't believe is this anymore, but they'll prop him up. Everybody will surround that person, get the news, everything, and then they collect all that data. Google, Twitter. Okay, these things are true. And what they'll do then is that then they take that data, and then they'll take fanatics or just people they can manipulate, and then they'll create false flags or situations where horrible things happen. And then they use that, the government will then use that, and they've done it throughout history, to crack down on freedoms. And in this case, America is fighting for its life to keep freedom. And I'm not saying everything's false flag, but in the last school shooting, we're going to look at something very interesting, people. Authorities investigating if a retired FBI agent knew of the Buffalo mass shooting plans in advance. Okay? This is another shooting from a kid. They call it white supremacist, right? White supremacist kid who went out and killed a bunch of people outside of a shopping mall or a grocery store. The FBI has verified that none of these people called law enforcement to warn them about the shooting. The FBI database shows no advance tips from anyone that this shooting was about to happen. Oh, but here, let's look at this. Talking about the FBI agent. If he had advance notice, he had a moral obligation to get on the phone and try to notify someone about it, said Lamar, who represented the family of Andre McNeil. Hold on here. No. Here we go. Federal authorities are investigating if the retired agent provided information to Guidron before he went on his shooting spree, the two law enforcement officials told the news. Children, that more importantly, more than ever, parents need to watch their children, because on the internet, they get, again, dark parts of the government, FBI, they will radicalize, and then they will carry out things like this. I'm not saying that that's exactly what happened, but people have questions. Now, this is another experiment that was being done on monkeys. And the monkeys were giving drugs and all kinds of, given drugs, different batches of drugs, and they ended up going crazy. Inhumane, very wrong. I think Fauci's doing stuff like this. I think Dr. Fauci and them are still doing things like this. I think they did. And these are the people that are running the government.
For 30 days, one of the monkeys had died of an overdose. In order to increase the length of the study, limits to amounts of cocaine was implemented. After the 30-day period, the monkeys began withdrawn, stopped eating, and showed signs of hallucinations. Some bit off their fingers and scratched off their skin. They pressed both levers and were noticeably confused. Effley and Harlow's work follow pretty much the same lines. That is the unethical use of animals, where they essentially were tortured and killed during the experiment through the creation of long-term drug exposure. Although the experiment hasn't had as much exposure as
So that right there, you have the United States and biolabs in Wuhan and the Ukraine, and you have them testing viruses, and you have history of the Russians working on hybrid mutant soldiers, messing with the brain. They know that the television puts people in hypnotic trance. You have Pfizer putting people on pharmaceuticals, injecting vaccines. People, we are living in the most epic movie you could ever imagine. Now, you have the CIA's appalling human experiments with mind control. Okay, this is the History Channel. Then you have the Smithsonian Magazine talking about how the CIA used mind control. The intent of the project, okay, talking about MK Ultra, was to study the use of biological and chemical materials in altering human behavior. According to the official testimony of CIA Director Stransfield Turner in 1977, the project was conducted in extreme secrecy because of the ethical and legal questions. Now, I'm just going to show you a few things. I'm going to end this. This is where you can really go off and do some research for the parents and them that are out there that are wondering, what is going on with my child? Well, one, it's because the parents need to really watch them. No more lazy stuff, no more television, no more no, we got to watch the kids. We got to start opening up football camps and camps and things to get the kids outside again. These things need to happen. We need to go backwards. Shut off the television, go backwards. So, there's a thing called Lucifer race. It's called Lucifer race, and what they were trying to roll out with COVID was after, in order to track people to know when they got the right vaccine for COVID, okay, whether it be 6 months or a year, annual thing, they were going to get you a vaccine that you would get that you could put on your skin, and then it would give you, it would illuminate where the stamp was at to let people know that you got the vaccine, and it was going to track people that way. Okay, this is called Lucifer race. Now, I'm going to show you something very interesting. A team at the National Institute of Health, U.S. government, led by Dr. Peter Collins, successfully created a mini genome system that expresses a reporter gene in response to RSV infection. So basically, our government official found out through funding from taxpayers, funding technology to go, okay, well, the Lucifer race, this will release at this time when we know that they have the vaccine. Okay, that's what that's saying. Now, let's look at this. This is Becker's Hospital Review. Recent emails obtained by the American Institute for Economic Research show that Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and Francis Collins, former director of the National Institutes of Health, they stopped dissenting views from top scientists about the pandemic. So they told people lockdowns, everything is bad. Then lockdowns, everything is good. Then they lock down everybody. Then they destroy lives. They create serial killers like Salvador Ramos by pumping by isolating them, taking them away from the world. Then you have all of these conglomerates brainwashing and pumping people through synthetics and pharmaceuticals. You think I'm a conspiracy theorist? Go look at what's going on. Here's the kicker. This is DARPA. This is a government agency that works on defensive technology to defend America. What are they doing this? Okay, hold on. DARPA, okay. Why are they making... What is this? What is this computer? What does this graphic look like? It looks like a Wi-Fi signal going into the brain and then a Wi-Fi signal coming out of the brain. Tangible technological progress may come sooner than people expect. Many interface technologies are now advancing beyond the proof of concept stage. Here we go. I'm going to show you something here. This is... So we are creating this technology, and then the conglomerates that have the money that can buy the technology, use it to do whatever they want on us. So we pay to build the technology, and then we give it to people, and then they make more money off of us to enslave us with the technology. That's how deep it goes. You're only seeing the shooter on CNN. DARPA, assuming the early and highest risk investments, meaning the taxpayers, industry partners will be poised to expand and refine the most successful capabilities and package them for all end users. That is very, very salesman-like language for what I just explained to you earlier. Parents, moms, dads, grandmas, everybody. People don't even have children. Deuteronomy 11:20. Write God's word upon the doorposts of thine house and upon the gates, that your days may be multiplied and the days of your children in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give them as the days of heaven upon the earth. If thou shalt diligently keep all these commandments, diligently. Do we sin? Yes. But should we diligently keep all these commandments which I command you to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways and to cleave unto him? Then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. I think the Lord Jesus Christ has a remnant here in America that's going to start blasting some of these people. I'm not saying with a gun, okay? I'm just saying politically blasting these people, and we're going to get... I believe that if America really wants it and the Christians want it, we'll get the country back. It's going to take hard work, and you know it's you know, and if God doesn't want that, if this is revelation, that's just the way it is. But man, I'm telling you what, I'm working, and I got God with me, and I'm working that way. That's it. So Romans 12:12, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. We have to go back to that. We have to go back to Jesus Christ. Everybody has to go back to the renewing and the refreshing of your mind, and to filter everything that you know through the landscape, the eyes of Christ. And until we do that, you're going to continue having these horrible things. It's just going to happen. Parents, you have a right to defend yourself. You have a right to... We have so much power, people have to flex it. People have to flex it. I hope that this helps parents or anybody that's grieving, and it helps to explain where we're at right now and how we're under spiritual warfare. Philippians 4:13, we can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth us. John 8:32, ye shall know the truth. Ye, you, we, all us will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. And there's no truth than Jesus Christ. Okay? Let's not muddy the waters there.